Prosecutors say young thug, whose real name is Jeffery Williams, is one of the founders of Young Slime Life, a violent Atlanta street gang.
High-profile co-defendant in the YSL case to the gang and RICO conspiracy charges against famous rapper Jeffery Williams, a.k.a. Young Thug.
Now, the rapper says he's an artist who's been falsely accused.
In January of this year, 2023, jury selection began in the racketeering case against a Grammy-nominated, platinum-selling hip-hop artist who goes by the stage name Young Thug, born Jeffery Williams. As of today, the jury is still being impaneled, and the trial is expected to continue for several months. The case attracted worldwide attention when Williams and his co-defendants were indicted in April of 2022 because of the rapper's celebrity and because he is accused of leading a criminal street gang known as Young Slime Life, even while he was building his music empire. Fulton County, Georgia prosecutors alleged that Young Thug and his collective have been involved in dozens of crimes including murder, attempted murder, armed robbery, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, theft, firearms violations, drug dealing, carjacking, and witness intimidation. There has been some controversy behind the case, as Williams is among a number of hip-hop artists who in recent years have had their song lyrics used against them in criminal cases, causing an outcry among free speech advocates. 27 other dudes were named in the Young Thug indictment, who according to the prosecution participated in a war against a rival Atlanta gang known as YFN, which also has members who are prominent music industry figures. The YFN, or Young Fly Niggas crew, is also subject to racketeering charges, which were filed approximately 1 year before the YSL indictment. The following report is based on the racketeering indictments filed by Fulton County prosecutors against the two warring crews and on publicly available reporting as of the date that I'm posting this video regarding the ongoing criminal trial against Young Thug and YSL.
Well, Dak, here's the deal. I'm the best there is, plain and simple. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
The streets of the Atlanta neighborhood of Castleberry Hill were red hot in late 2014 and early 2015, when a war would erupt in which many bullets would fly and numerous bodies would fall in the intervening years. In the span of 3 months, there were 4 murders on the same street. On October 7th of 2014, a 62-year-old man named Obi Phillips was shot and killed in front of the JVC grocery store on McDaniel Street in an apparent drive-by. Phillips was not the intended target, according to authorities. A month later, on November 15th, 21-year-old Nicholas Green was riding along McDaniel in the passenger seat of an SUV driven by his brother when the car was fired upon. Green died from the gunshots he sustained, while his brother survived. A week after that shooting, 22-year-old Demetrius Davis was gunned down also in front of the JVC grocery store. A little over a year later, on January 10th of the following year, 2015, a 27-year-old man named Donovan Thomas was slain in a drive-by shooting in front of a barber shop on the same street where these other killings occurred. 2 other individuals, including a 14-year-old boy, sustained non-life-threatening gunshot wounds in the assault.
It appears that they were the intended target, but again, we're not sure the reason of the shooting.
Atlanta police are investigating why 2 men in their mid-20s and a 14-year-old boy were shot outside of a barber shop in southwest Atlanta Saturday night. Investigators say it appears to have been a drive-by shooting, and according to several witnesses we spoke with, an automatic weapon was used.
Donovan Thomas, also known as Peanut or Big Nut, was reportedly an influential figure in Atlanta's growing hip-hop music scene, but at the same time, according to Fulton County prosecutors, he was also a leader of an Atlanta-based faction of the notorious Blood street gang, the Inglewood Family Bloods. The Bloods are a California-based gang which has proliferated in various states across the country. Many of these national blood sets beef with one another, similar to blood-on-blood violence in Cali, which is common. According to authorities, Thomas's murder incited a war in the intervening years in which an estimated 50 or more violent incidents have occurred in the city of Atlanta. The conflict has been documented on social media and perpetuated in part through rap song lyrics written and performed by artists who also happen to be soldiers in the gang war, prosecutors say. Before his untimely death, Thomas was credited with helping to launch the careers of influential Atlanta artists such as platinum-selling rappers Rich Homie Quan and YFN Lucci. YFN Lucci, government name Rayshawn Bennett, is from the Summer Hill neighborhood of southeast Atlanta, where he was raised by a single mother along with his two brothers. He's discussed in interviews finding ways to hustle for money when he was as young as 12 or 13 years old.
I was raised in Summer Hill. It's like by that Braves Stadium, Atlanta Braves Stadium, like right across the street. We used to park cars, like young, 12, 13, park cars, hustling. You know, we ain't have much, but we made it out of what we could. You smell me? I had to get back in the street.
So I was gonna ask you, what were you doing after that?
You know, just hustling. You know, I ain't gonna say too much. You know, just trying to come up on the bankroll. Right. Yeah.
In this clip, he talks about moving toward music as a career path.
My big brother, his name YFN, he been rapping since I was like 13. He used to come home with his own songs, and I'd be like, dang, they were hard, like real songs. And he was like 15, come home with his whole song. Boom, I'm listening to it like, dang, they're my brother. And it just inspired me, made me want to make music. I started rapping, I freestyle for my big brother, and they let me join their little gang. And I've been rapping ever since.
Lucci's music career was beginning to pick up some steam when he signed his first record deal in the year 2014 and released his debut mixtape, Wish Me Well. A little over a year after Nut's murder, Lucci released his follow-up mixtape, and his buzz continued to build. Wish Me Well 2 peaked at number 183 on the Billboard 200 chart and featured the single Keys to the Streets, which peaked at number 70 on the Hot 100 chart. Now some of the hottest artists in the game were appearing on Lucci's songs, including Migos, 2 Chainz, Lil Wayne, and Quavo. In 2017, Lucci released an EP called Long Live Nut in honor of his slain friend Donovan Thomas. The record debuted at number 27 on the Billboard chart and featured a number of industry heavyweights. But according to Fulton County prosecutors, at the same time that Lucci was building his thriving music career, he was doing dirty work and was heavily involved in a gang war which erupted when his friend Donovan Thomas was gunned down. On Monday, May 3rd, 2021, Lucci was indicted on RICO charges along with 11 other individuals and turned himself in to authorities. Today he remains detained at Fulton County Jail awaiting trial and has been denied bail multiple times. Lucci and his co-defendants are accused of various crimes, including being members of a purported criminal enterprise and of supporting the gang by participating in a slew of illegal activities, including homicides, shootings, assaults, drug crimes, carjackings, and more. Prosecutors say that Lucci has a leadership role in the alleged criminal gang. The indictment contends that Lucci's songs and the imagery in his videos are evidence of his and his comrades' involvement in the criminal enterprise. It says that the provocative content furthers the illegal business by perpetuating the gang's violent and dangerous reputation and by intimidating its rivals. The document refers to numerous examples of lyrics in Lucci's songs as well as social media posts and music videos featuring he and his associates brandishing firearms, flashing gang signs, wearing apparel that represents the YFN gang, and cites this as evidence of an ongoing criminal conspiracy. The most serious allegation made against Lucci himself by Fulton County prosecutors, in December of 2020, he was allegedly behind the wheel of a white SUV carrying 3 other individuals, 28-year-old James Adams, Rayvon Boyd, who was 23, and a 17-year-old named Leroy Pitts. The men were riding around in the southwest Atlanta neighborhood of Oakland City, which is dominated by a rival gang, according to Atlanta police. According to the APD, Adams was seen on video saying, "We're fixing to fuck this city up. Yeah, we're fucking this city up," unquote. Lucci purportedly pulled the car over in an oncoming lane of traffic where Boyd and Adams hopped out carrying assault weapons and opened fire on rival gang members, striking at least one man who would survive the assault. The ops returned fire. One of Lucci's alleged accomplices took a headshot in the fracas. As Lucci and his cohorts made their escape, the critically injured man was apparently pushed out of the car and left in the street. The following 911 call was placed by a bystander soon after the incident.
We need an ambulance. Somebody is laying out. I don't know if he barely.
Let me connect you. Somebody
just threw him out of the car.
Let me connect you to the ambulance.
Baby, can y'all please get an ambulance here? This man is dying. He's shot in the head. He just took his last breath, man. We don't know. Me and my sister, we were just walking down the street and somebody just rolled down the street with a man hanging out of the car. They just pushed him out the truck and left him for dead.
James Adams died later at Grady Memorial Hospital. He was only 28 years old. Lucci was named a suspect in the incident, and a $5,000 reward was offered for help finding him. He turned himself in to authorities 2 weeks into the new year on January 13th, 2021, charged with felony murder. By then, Lucci's surviving, alleged accomplices had already been taken into custody. 23-year-old Rayvon Boyd faces felony murder charges as well as aggravated assault, participation in criminal street gang activity, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. 17-year-old Leroy Pitts was also charged with felony murder, aggravated assault, and participation in criminal street gang activity, as well as possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. Lucci bonded out of jail less than a month after his arrest, but turned himself in again just a few months later in May of 2021 when he and members of his collective were indicted on RICO charges. Lucci has not had an easy time of it while in custody. On February 9th of last year, 2022, while Lucci was on a video call with someone in the free world, a fellow inmate at Fulton County Jail attacked him from behind with a homemade shank, according to reports. In the ensuing melee, Lucci produced a weapon of his own. Officers separated the men, but not before Lucci sustained a laceration to his head for which he would receive medical attention. Lucci has claimed that he's since been informed that there's a bounty on his head and says that he fears for his life. In a motion filed by his attorneys following the attack, he requested that he be granted bond, suggesting house arrest in lieu of county jail confinement. Lucci's request was denied in June of last year, and he remains detained at Fulton County Jail in protective custody. The indictment also makes mention of the slaying of Donovan Big Nut Thomas in the winter of 2015, previously discussed, and says that this shooting was the root of the war that erupted between the YFN crew and a gang known as YSL. While Lucci was on the streets, he and affiliated gangs have been on the receiving end of numerous violent attacks. Meanwhile, since at least 2017, he's exchanged threats and insults on social media and in songs with another Atlanta rapper who goes by the name of Young Thug. Thugger, as he's often called, is a highly regarded figure in the hip-hop world and an icon in Atlanta. He grew up with little to no wealth, raised in the Jonesboro South Projects in the southeast part of Atlanta. In this Fader interview, he speaks solemnly about coming up as a member of the ROC crew, which he explained stands for Rich Off Crime, Ready on Command, or Raised on Cleveland. Prosecutors say that Young Thug is the leader of the gang known as YSL, which is the successor to the ROC crew. Young Thug started his rap career in 2010, initially performing as a featured artist before releasing a series of well-received mixtapes, which would eventually gain the attention of popular Atlanta rapper-producer Gucci Mane. Gucci would sign Thugger to his first contract in 2013. In the following years, Young Thug would become a recording industry heavyweight, going platinum multiple times, recording and performing with the biggest names in hip-hop, reaching the top slot on the Billboard chart multiple times, and even winning a Grammy Award. Like Lucci, Young Thug built a reputation as a professional musician while simultaneously maintaining a career in crime, according to authorities. Also like Lucci, Thugger and his collective have also been indicted on racketeering charges in Fulton County, Georgia. The plethora of charges against Young Thug and YSL are summarized in the introduction to this video. As stated previously, the YSL indictment was filed in April of 2022, about 1 year after Lucci and YFN were charged. The social media squabbles between YFN Lucci and Young Thug have been well documented in recent years, but the origins of the beef were never clear. But in the YFN and YSL indictments, Authorities say the conflict between the two camps began in 2015 when Lucci's friend Donovan Thomas was killed. Believing that YSL was responsible for the slaying, YFN and associated cliques waged war against YSL and its affiliates. The document also says that Thomas was targeted for murder by ranking members of another Bloods franchise called Sex Money Murder, and insinuates that Thomas was targeted because he was believed to be an informant. I'll discuss further details surrounding Nut's murder later in the video. At some point, unknown vandals spray painted the word SLAT on Thomas's gravestone. SLAT, which means slime life all the time, is a term associated with Young Thug's crew. At various times, Young Thug has mentioned Lucci's mother in tweets, threatened the rival rapper with assault, and expressed a desire to end his life.
Man, of course I'm at Lucci and I'm slapping. I'm slapping the hell out y'all, little nigga. Man.
Now, Young Thug, as you know, has been taunting YFN Lucci on social media. We told you the other day that he posted, YFN, if I ain't like what you do for your mother and kids, I would have been killed you. So
y'all do know YFN Lucci and Thug have real street beef, right?
Yes, we do.
So I don't understand why YFN Lucci is continuing to play with Thug in that manner. I don't understand it. I don't get it.
Lucci, for his part, has made numerous incendiary references to Thugger on social media. He claimed on Twitter and in at least one interview to have slept with Young Thug's woman.
What is going on between you and Thugger, man? I mean, two dope artists, and we see y'all going back and forth. He's sending threats to you. What's going on, bruh?
Yeah, I can't speak on that. You feel me?
Is it about a girl, yeah?
I don't know. He probably be, his girl. You know how she was about me. So,
That's what I saw. I saw that you said you slept with his girl. Is that what it's about?
I was in the bed with her a couple times.
Wait, she said that's a lie, though. She said that's a lie.
Lucci also made a cryptic Instagram post which could have been construed as a threat against one of Thugger's young children. In 2019, Lucci's Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon was dotted with bullet holes as one of the rapper's friends happened to be driving it. The man suffered gunshot wounds but survived the assault. Lucci happened to not be in the car at the time. One could surmise, though, that he was the actual target of the shooting. In June of 2020, gunmen shot up the set of Lucci's music video shoot in southeast Atlanta. Lucci managed to escape injury since he was not on the set when the gunplay took place, but a 15-year-old was shot in the hand and treated at a local hospital for the bullet wound. In this video, Lucci discusses two separate incidents in which his home in Atlanta was fired upon.
There was an incident where your house was shot up, not once, but twice.
Yeah, twice.
Can you talk about the first time it happened?
The first time, I was on a promo tour. I was in Tampa, I think. I was in Tampa. I was actually about to go right on the stage, and then they called me like the house got shot up. We hit the road and went back home because I had to go check on my mama. Everything was good, though. Ain't nobody get hit or nothing. Then the second time, I was in the A. We was at the studio, and I get a call, and I rushed home. She had got shot in her leg, her and her friend. They were laying in the bed. But my daughter, my baby mother, my brother were there too, but everybody was good.
Prosecutors have suggested that Young Thug and YSL may have been involved in the shooting that injured Lucci's mother and used Young Thug's lyrics to make the claim. At some point, Lucci's mother was shot at, DA Don Geary said to the court last June, and a song comes out called Bad Boy that says, "Better watch the way you breathe around me, for that breath be your last one. Smith & Wesson 45 put a hole in his heart. You better not play with me. Killers stay with me. I shot at his mommy, now he no longer mention me." We believe that Mr. Williams doesn't sing about random acts. He sings about gang acts that he's a part of, or his gang participates in, the prosecutor said. The assault on Lucci's home, in which his mother was shot, is not included in the RICO charges against Thugger and YSL. A year after Lucci and YFN's RICO charges were issued, Young Thug and YSL caught their racketeering cases. Included in the charges against Thugger, which I summarized at the beginning of this video, prosecutors say that Young Thug rented the Infiniti Q50 sedan from Hertz that was used in the shooting of Donovan Thomas back in 2015. They say that following the shooting, Young Thug provided cash to the men who carried out the hit, took them to Miami, and encouraged them to lay low for a bit.
January the 10th, 2015, after the murder of Donovan Thomas Jr., defendant and other YSL associates gathered at the home of Jeffery Williams, a.k.a. Young Thug, who gave defendant and other YSL associates cash money to lay low.
In December of 2022, 8 of Young Thug's 28 co-defendants pleaded guilty to RICO charges and have acknowledged that the group is not only a music collective, but also a criminal street gang, and have been released from jail, sentenced to commuted jail terms, probation, and community service. The 8 co-defendants who have taken plea deals are the following: rapper Gunna, whose real name is Sergio Kitchens; Antonio Sledge, Young Thug's brother, Quantavious Grier; YThe, also known as Slime Life Shorty; Martinez Arnold, a.k.a. Lil Duke; Antonio Sumlin, who also goes by the name Obama; Walter Murphy, who is purported to be a co-founder of the YSL street gang; and Quantavious Tick Stevens. The men have come under some scrutiny on social media, with much speculation about whether the men are quote-unquote snitching on Young Thug, the prosecution's primary target. All of the men may be called to testify at trial and have pledged to tell the truth. However, some of them will be allowed under the terms of their agreements to plead the fifth on the stand, meaning that they may choose not to answer questions about Young Thug and his alleged criminal activities. 2 other co-defendants, Deamonte Beebe and Tanquarius Mender, were also offered lenient plea deals in December of 2022 that would have set them free as well. They rejected the offers and will stand trial at the risk of extensive prison time. Presiding Judge Earl Glanville appeared to be taken by surprise at the 2 young men's defiance. Here the judge reiterates to Tanquarius Mender the gravity of his situation and subtly questions the wisdom of his decision to not take the very generous offer on the table.
There's one thing about trials, it's uncertainty. You don't know what's going to happen. You got to beat 4 counts. If you don't beat them, what will happen is I have to, under the law, sentence you to the maximum sentence. And then whatever I sentence you to, you serve to the door.
Aside from acknowledgement that YSL is a gang, Young Thug's co-defendants have made several other incriminating statements regarding the rapper. Antonio Sledge disclosed to prosecutors that he and other YSL associates met at Young Thug's home in the wake of Donovan Thomas's murder, and that Thugger provided the men with cash, advising them that they should keep a low profile for a bit. Among Quantavious Tick Stevens' potentially damning statements involving Young Thug, he had this exchange with the district attorney in the courtroom.
Do you acknowledge that on May 13, 2021, you participated in another group chat with fellow YSL founder Jeffery Williams, a.k.a. Young Thug, and YSL associates Martinez Arnold, Miles Farley, Quantavious Grier, Antonio Sumlin, YThe, wherein Jeffery Williams asked, y'all ain't beat him up or shot him yet? Then states, y'all getting soft.
Yes.
Also, prosecutors have introduced Young Thug song lyrics about Stevens and crimes Stevens has committed. Stevens admitted in court that he is the individual referenced in one of Young Thug's songs, and that he has in fact been accused of and arrested for crimes attributed to him in Thugger's rhymes, specifically robbing women.
You acknowledge that you've been accused of and arrested for robbing women.
Yes.
You acknowledge that you are the same person referred to as Tick in the song by Young Thug entitled You, in the verse, she getting robbed by Tick.
Yes.
Sergio Kitchens, a.k.a. Gunna, accepted what's known as an Alford plea, which allows the defendant to maintain his innocence while acknowledging that the state has enough evidence to convict him. Despite his guilty plea, he insists that he is not cooperating with the prosecution and that if called to testify at trial, he will plead the fifth. However, this statement he gave in court recently could be used against Young Thug and YSL and could prove to be quite damaging.
And do you acknowledge the following statement? I recognize, accept, and deeply regret that my talent and music indirectly furthered YSL the gang to the detriment of my community. YSL as a gang must end. Is that your statement or acknowledgement?
Yes.
One YSL co-defendant in the racketeering case who has not copped a plea and remains jailed pending trial is Christian Eppinger, also a rapper who goes by the stage name Big Briss. In addition to the RICO case, He is also awaiting trial in a previous matter. On February 7th of last year, 2022, outside an apartment complex off of Cleveland Avenue, Eppinger allegedly fired 6 bullets into a police officer who was attempting to arrest him.
Officer David Rogers is still in the hospital tonight after he was shot in his shoulder, knee, and the back of his head while trying to arrest a suspected member of the Young Slime Life gang.
During a virtual court hearing this morning, a Fulton County judge denied bond for 22-year-old Christopher Eppinger. Arrest warrants released today due to Officer David Rogers attempting to arrest Eppinger Monday near Old Hapeville Road with a warrant for a 2021 armed robbery and assault case. According to the warrants, Eppinger pushed Rogers away, pulled out a gun, and shot the officer 4 times in the shoulder, once in his leg, and once in the back of his head. In the warrants, APD described the gang as having a stronghold on the Cleveland Avenue corridor where the shooting happened Monday.
This video appears to show Officer Rogers hopping out of a vehicle and attempting to apprehend Eppinger. At this moment, it appears that Eppinger raises a weapon and opens fire on Rogers. Eppinger allegedly hauled ass after firing on Rogers and another cop and was captured and cuffed a short time later. Rogers and other cops on the scene were attempting to execute a warrant for Eppinger's arrest. He was a wanted suspect in a robbery that happened on the set of another rapper's music video the previous autumn. He and another man allegedly stole someone's Rolex watch, iPhone, Gucci wallet, and diamond earrings, then later posted about it on social media. According to the warrant, following the shooting of the officer, Young Slime Life members were observed on social media bragging about a police officer being shot on Cleveland Avenue and giving recognition and gratitude to Mr. Eppinger for his actions. Eppinger and one of his co-defendants in the YSL RICO case, Antonio Sumlin, have reportedly sought Young Thug's permission to make a second attempt on YFN Lucci's life following the stabbing attack of last year, according to prosecutors. The YSL indictment claims that the initial attempt to kill YFN Lucci in February of 2022 was carried out by YSL associates and co-defendants in the RICO case, Khalif Adams, Demekion Garlington, and Jaden Myrick, who had been jailed for other crimes before the racketeering case began. Co-defendant Jaden Myrick was in jail awaiting trial for a 2018 robbery murder. He would be convicted of those crimes just several months after he allegedly attempted to kill Lucci in jail. Co-defendant Khalif Adams was awaiting trial for a 2016 home invasion and murder. Not only is he accused of those crimes and the jailhouse stabbing of Lucci, this past January, he was captured on camera covertly handing an item to Young Thug in the courtroom. Deputies saw the transaction and intervened. They found that Adams had passed a Percocet pill to his co-defendant. Adams was taken out of the courtroom and searched. Deputies found additional contraband, including marijuana and tobacco. Adams claims he was tased and assaulted by the deputies, whose body cameras were not active during the incident. Young Thug claims that he was unaware that Adams had intended to hand him the pill. All types of shenanigans have taken place at Fulton County Jail and even in the courtroom since Young Thug and his cohorts were indicted last year. YSL co-defendants Christian Eppinger, previously mentioned, Rodelius Ryan, and Damone Blaylock allegedly stabbed a fellow inmate in the county jail this past February for unknown reasons, according to authorities. 18-year-old Quantavious Mender was arrested in May of last year after he threatened on social media to kill a Fulton County sheriff and his wife unless YSL members were released from jail. In October of 2022, a fellow inmate at Fulton County Jail attempted to stab co-defendant Diamonte Kendrick, a.k.a. Yak Gotti. In January of this year, 2023, Yak Gotti's mother was arrested for allegedly attempting to smuggle tobacco products into the courtroom to pass on to her son. The contraband was allegedly hidden in a bag of clothing that she had brought to court for Gotti. In July of last year, Fulton County prosecutors sought a court order to prohibit defense lawyers from sharing witness information with their clients, saying there have been numerous threats to kill or harm witnesses. The judge granted the order. Despite that order, somehow a document was leaked and posted online the following month, which disclosed to the public the identity of a state's witness and part of his statement to authorities. The witness, in jail on guns and parole violation charges, was placed in protective custody following the disclosure. Then, several months later, in February of this year, a video was leaked and posted on the internet which shows that same witness, a YSL associate named Kenneth Copeland, a.k.a. Lil Woody, having a very long conversation with Atlanta Police Department detectives in an APD interrogation room. The video, which has now been viewed millions of times, was filmed in October of 2021 after Woody had the misfortune of being caught during a traffic stop driving his girlfriend's car without a license and carrying a gun. He was a convicted felon prohibited from possessing firearms and was facing the prospect of returning to prison and serving serious time. In the video, he appears desperate to save himself. He says that he has the scoop on a murder that would be happening that night. He implies Young Thug's involvement in the impending assassination and offers to help police foil the plot.
If something will happen today,
What's gonna happen?
somebody's supposed to get killed tonight.
Who?
Lil Woody will likely be a central witness for the prosecution. But according to Fulton County prosecutors, he is also a primary figure in the events that precipitated the war between YSL and YFN. On January 5th of 2015, about 6 years before that infamous interview footage was filmed, Woody was at an Atlanta nightclub called Club Crucial, which was owned by prominent elder rapper and Atlanta native T.I. There was a melee at the club that night, during which Woody was robbed by a man named Kelvin Watts, who was associated with the YFN clique. 5 days later, Donovan Big Nut Thomas was slain and the war was on, according to Fulton County prosecutors. Prosecutors say that 5 YSL associates carried out the murder of Thomas. Javaris Bradford, Justin Cobb, Diamonte Kendrick, Demise McMullen, and Shannon Stillwell. All are named in the YSL indictment. On the same night that Big Nut was shot, Lil Woody's then-girlfriend's parents' house was fired upon. The shooting is believed by authorities to have been retaliatory in response to Thomas's murder. Numerous shootings occurred in the intervening months as tensions escalated between YSL and YFN and affiliated crews. In April of that year, Lil Woody was arrested after he was caught carrying a loaded assault rifle in a shopping bag. He served 5 years in federal prison behind the charge. Following his arrest, Lil Woody spoke with an APD detective in mid-2015. He had a lot to say, according to authorities. He told them that he had been with Jeffery Williams, a.k.a. Young Thug, when the superstar rented the Infiniti sedan that was used in the assassination of Donovan Thomas just several months prior. Woody said he was not present when the deed was done, but he had been informed by another YSL associate that Thugger had lent the vehicle to several other YSL associates after Big Nut had been spotted outside a barbershop on McDaniel Street. The associate, Demekion Garlington, allegedly told Woody immediately after Thomas's murder that members of the clique were responsible for the hit. In 2021, he was a free man again and running with the YSL crew. At some point, he started dating an officer with the South Fulton Police Department. On October 27th of that year, Woody again had the unfortunate luck of getting caught with a gun by authorities during a traffic stop while driving his girlfriend's car, as mentioned previously. He was arrested and subsequently was taken to an APD interrogation room, which is how he ended up on the leaked video this past February. The video, and Woody's role in the ongoing racketeering trial, may forever label him a snitch. In some cultures, including the gang culture, which Woody is apparently a part of, to be a snitch is an unforgivable offense for which the accused can face deadly consequences. His police officer girlfriend, 27-year-old Aaliyah Jackson, was arrested 2 days after Woody was bagged. She would resign from the force, and charges were levied against her of tampering with evidence and violation of oath of office when she allegedly attempted to disable her boyfriend's phone, which had been confiscated as evidence. She also tried to delete Woody's Instagram account, which apparently showed gang activity. The presiding judge in the YSL RICO trial has ordered an investigation into the leak of the Lil Woody interrogation video. Woody remains detained and is in protective custody as prosecutors fear that his life is in danger. He is expected to testify against Young Thug and his YSL associates in the ongoing racketeering trial. Young Thug is charged with 8 of the 65 crimes identified in the YSL indictment. Those charges include conspiracy to violate the RICO Act, 2 counts of participation in criminal street gang activity, possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute, possession of codeine with intent to distribute, possession of cocaine, possession of a firearm, and possession of a machine gun. Young Thug could be sentenced to anywhere from 5 to 20 years if convicted of the crimes of which he's been accused. On June 12th of 2022, at radio station Hot 97's annual Summer Jam Festival at East Rutherford, New Jersey's MetLife Stadium, a message recorded by Young Thug from Fulton County Jail was played on a massive LED screen for the 50,000 attendees. "You know this isn't just about me or YSL," he said in the pre-recorded message. "I always use my music as a form of artistic expression, and I see now that black artists and rappers don't have that freedom. Everybody please sign the Protect Black Art petition and keep praying for us. I love you all," he concluded. The petition Young Thug was referring to was the petition to protect black art. The document was co-written by Atlantic Records COO Julie Greenwald and by 300 Entertainment CEO Kevin Lyles, who signed Thugger and helped get his label YSL off the ground. The document asks both federal and state legislators to adopt bills that limit the use of rap lyrics as evidence in a court of law. Several rap artists have had their lyrics used against them in court in past years. Many of those cases ended in convictions. As of May of 2022, a similar proposal, often referred to as the Rap on Trial bill, passed the New York State Senate. Just as suggested in the petition to protect black art, the bill would place limitations on how rap lyrics can be used as evidence in criminal cases. In September of the same year, California Governor Gavin Newsom signed into law a bill aimed at restricting the use of creative expression as evidence in criminal trials. Judge Euro Glanville has not yet ruled on whether rap lyrics sung by the defendants will be allowed as evidence in the RICO trial against Young Thug and YSL. Thanks once again for tuning in. Thanks for liking, commenting, subscribing. Thanks for sticking around to the end. And if you are still here at the end, I'm assuming that you got something out of the video. So go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm trying to make 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and you can help me reach that goal by hitting that subscribe button. So go ahead and do so if you haven't already. I've got a bunch of interesting stories that I want to share with you guys. I'll be dropping those shortly. Thanks once again. Peace.